Welcome everybody to the HR Roundtable 101 Internships. My name is Sarah Burke. I'm the Youth Career Specialist working with the Greater Newport Chamber of Commerce in partnership with the East Bay Community Action Program. And I'm thrilled to be able to have this event this morning. Thank you for the attendees and the panelists for taking some time to join us this morning. We're going to have about an hour together. And I just want to sort of tell you what the format will look like. We have 4 different presentations, starting with Mary Vieira, Principal, and Joanna Norton, the Guidance Counselor at Paul Crowley East Bay Met School. And they're going to be joined by 2 students, Gabrielle Brown, a 10th grader, and Nathan Gia, the 12th grader, to tell a little bit of their experience as interns. And then we're going to hear from Kerry Clarke, the College and Career Coordinator at the Newport Area Career and Technical Center at William Rogers High School. And after that, we'll hear from Tracy Dufault, Director of Education, taking Nina Pande's spot today. She, Executive Director, not able to join us from Skills for Rhode Island. We're thrilled to have her. And then Brian Hannon, the Youth Career Director, and Stephen Dolce, the Youth Center Case Manager from the East Bay Community Action Program. They'll each have about 10 minutes to share the nuts and bolts of what their program is about, leaving us, I hope, a little time at the end for questions and answers. And if at the end of this event, you want to follow up with more information from any of our panelists, you may connect with me directly or with any of the panelists. I'm sure they'll be sharing the best way to do that. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mary and Joanna from the Met School. Whose screen shall I give permission to, Mary or Joanna?
Yeah, you can give it to me, Sarah. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful.
Hey, Mary.
Hi, yeah, I was going to say it's good to see some familiar faces. How are you, Steve?
Good, good. And you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm happy to be here. All right. Oh, hold on. Okay. So thank you all for welcoming us. We are thrilled to be here. I am going to be brief because the most important part of our 10 minutes is going to be hearing the stories of our 2 students who are with us today and their experience as interns with organizations that are members of the Newport Chamber. So our goal is to help you understand what Met internships look like and how they might serve your organizations. And we really are looking forward to establishing a stronger relationship with the membership in the Newport Chamber of Commerce. So my role before I turn it over to Gabby and Nathan is just to give those of you who may not know much about the Met a little bit of context for how these internships happen, because our school is non-traditional. So the Met is an approved, innovative career and technical program, and we serve all of Rhode Island, and we've been around since 1996 doing that work. We have 3 campuses, 2 on the south end of Providence, Public Street and P Street, and then our newest campus, the Paul W. Crowley East Bay campus here in Newport, which is where I am the principal, and Gabby and Nathan are our students, and Joanna is our post-secondary access counselor. So what is the Met? What is our model? This visual represents our model and the key components of it. And you can see there that red circle represents our mentors, which are what the Newport Chamber of Commerce members could become. And so I'm just going to tell you how mentorship fits into the larger model. So at the Met, the student is at the center of learning, and our goal is that all students have an authentic and relevant learning experience. Students are organized into advisories, and this is different than what advisories might be like at a traditional high school, where perhaps they're meeting for an hour a week or for 20 minutes every morning. There's a lot of different models, but in our model, the advisory is this core group of students that stays with an advisor for all 4 years, and that really is the hub of their entire education. And with their advisor, each student works closely to identify and personalize their learning. So our students are not rotating to math and science and English class. They are each enacting an individualized, personalized learning plan that they work on with their advisor. So at the core of that learning plan is the internship experience. So every student is paired with a mentor that they work closely with in a real world setting. And this starts in ninth grade. Starting in ninth grade, our students are in full day internships 2 days a week. And so that really is the core of their learning. We also always like to just note that we have a very strong partnerships with parents and families. And so we pull them in as full partners in developing the learning plan. And so they're really partners too in supporting students in that internship work. So the result is this student-centered learning design where students are actively invested in their learning. They're challenged to pursue their interests by this supportive community of educators, professional mentors, and family. So Joe is going to talk more at the end about our post-secondary programs, but what is relevant about our career ready focus is that many students receive professional certifications while they're actually with us and before they graduate, giving them some really concrete career-based skills that they can apply in their internship setting. So here is a list of just some of the professional certifications that our students have earned while they're with us. And so in the time that we have been here in Rhode Island, we've had more than 5,000 mentors that have hosted internships. Our students have logged over 1,700,000 hours of learning in the real world. And then just a few key points about our internships that are signatures to our program is that when our students are placed in internships, those internships are supported by regular check-ins and site visits by our advisors who are experienced. We have a wonderful veteran staff who've been supporting internships for many years. The internships, and Gabby and Nathan will talk more specifically about this, but they center around student knowledge and skill development and projects that authentically contribute to the internship site. So we know our students are getting so much from those internships and the professional mentorship, and we really consider it a mutually beneficial relationship. So we work to ensure that our students are engaging in projects that really do give back in a meaningful way to those internship sites. As I said, they're in the internships 2 full days a week. Sometimes when they're older in 11th and 12th grade, we've had students in 3, 4, sometimes even 5 days a week if the internship is really a good match. Often the internships lead to summer and post-med employment. And we have a partnership with Steve Dolce and Edcap so that many of our students are in the paid internship program. So with that, I'm going to turn over the mic to Gabrielle Brown, who's a 10th grader from Newport, and she is going to tell us about her internship experience. So go ahead, Gabby.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabby, and my real world learning is mostly centered around law and social justice. So to interact with that interest, I interned with Senator Dawn Hoyer at her law office as an office assistant. During my time there, it's been a couple of months, I've gained a lot of soft skills like communication, time management, and problem solving because I do get to interact with clients, and I have a very hands-off plan where I'm allowed to figure out a lot of things on my own. And then within hard skills, because I am an office assistant, I've gained a lot of proficiency in Microsoft applications, Clio management, which is a legal management website, drafting memos, intake calls, and filling out a lot of IRS forms like 1023s and SS4s. And then so far for projects, I'm currently working on a boards and commissions spreadsheet that will eventually list all of the boards and commissions in the state, the members, their jobs, et cetera, sort of hold the people appointing them accountable for putting qualified people on the boards. And then I do a little bit of management. So that's just cleaning out emails, checking voice mailboxes, researching case laws for the memos I previously mentioned, and a lot more. And these are some flyers I made in support of the Newport public school bond to rebuild Rogers and add on to Pell. And this was on the legal side of my mentor's job. And that's her in the middle. And post-med, right now, my top 2 schools are Brown and Howard, and I would love to major in sociology or political science, and then move on to law school and a career in abolition. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. And now welcome Nathan Gia, one of our seniors also from Newport.
Thanks, Mary. So hi, everybody. I'm Nathan. I'm a senior at the Met School, and my real world learning is centered around computer science and video game development. During my nearly 4 years at the Met, I've taken several opportunities to grow my understanding of these fields and really get to know my passions. One of my internships was at a local computer repair shop called Newport County Computers, and I learned about the inner workings of computers and how they worked, how to assemble and disassemble them, and how to fix common computer issues. At the time of this internship, I was collaborating with a peer on a school project involving game development, and NCC provided us with a workspace and the utilities that we needed. Using what we learned, we built computers with spare parts around the office, and in time, we were able to complete a prototype of a video game. And I really value my time at NCCC for being able to learn about computer hardware in a very hands-on way that's very relevant to my passion. Next slide, please. I also took part in the Fab Newport Wearables program at the Providence Met campus. Through this program, we deeply explored the concept of wearable technology and how we're incorporating computers into everyday life. In the first few weeks of the program, I picked up some basic sewing skills and I gained a better understanding of circuitry and physical computing. And to bring everything together that I had learned, I created a video game controller using an input board, conductive fabric, and grips that I sewed together myself. And I also quickly created a mini game to accompany the controller, which served as an exercise in rapid-paced game development. Both of these experiences and more have shaped my learning and are equipping me with knowledge and skills that I can apply in the real world. Next slide, please. So my robust and authentic work and learning has helped me get accepted to 6 different colleges, including the University of Rhode Island, the Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and the New England Institute of Technology. When I graduate for the Met, I plan on continuing my study of computer science in college and pursuing a career as a video game designer. Mary, back to you.
Thanks, Nathan. And I am going to turn it over to Joanna Norton, our post-secondary access counselor.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here. So I'm just going to speak a little bit about how internships help our students with their post-secondary planning. The internships are absolutely vital to the post-secondary planning process. Not only do they provide students with experiential learning in the career of their choice, but their real-world experience also informs their high school transcripts. Each graduate has an individual high school transcript that's streamlined just for them. I was going to pop our college profile into the chat, but I don't have access to the chat. But here's just a little peek at what we send to our colleges when students graduate from the Met. And as you can see, over 5,000 businesses are currently offering internships to our students, and a lot of them are here today. So thank you so much for working with our students. And we have approximately 200 students that graduate from all 3 campuses each year. And 77% of those students will head to college. However, internships play a huge role in the futures of our work-bound students because their internships usually hire them senior year. And it's really great because the students are already familiar with like the dynamics of the company and they can go right into working full-time upon graduation. So they're so valuable to our post-Met planning process. And thank you again, everybody, for working with our students. And I will hand it back to Mary for closing.
Thanks, Joe. So we just wanted to close with this quote from Kamala Harris. And for us, it just represents our belief that our students can break barriers, that they can create futures for themselves that align with their wildest dreams. And so we just invite you to be partners with us as we support these young people in creating the conditions for them to uplift their lives and really become their most authentic and best version of themselves. So we hope to hear from you. I did hear from my friend that some of my slides showed up blank. I'm not sure if it was a screen sharing thing, but I'm gonna just pop. I also don't have access to the chat, but Sarah has my slides, so she is welcome to share those out with you when the presentation is done, if you missed anything. But thank you. I'll turn it back to Sarah.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Gabrielle. And thank you, Nathan, for sharing your experiences. Wonderful. So without further ado, let's move on to Kerry Clarke, College and Career Coordinator at the Newport Area Career and Technical Center. I'm going to, just one sec here, Kerry, I'm going to give you permissions. There we go. All right.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. I really have like 1 or 2 slides. Most of my stuff is just talking about my experiences. I want to say Gabby and Nathan did an amazing job. And so kudos to you guys, and very impressive. So it's a great thing to see our students involved and showing their skills off in this kind of setting. So awesome job. Let me just bring this up. Can you see that? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right, so again, I'm Kerry Clarke. I am at Rogers High School in the Newport Area Career and Technical Center, which is all one and the same, part of Newport Public Schools. We are the Regional Career and Technical Center. So if I say CTE or Career Tech, we're the center for Tiverton, for Portsmouth, for Middletown. We have students from all around this area. Much like the Met, we take students from other areas. So we are the public school, the traditional career and tech center here. We have 11 programs right now. And I'm going to pop those up on the screen in a minute just to kind of give you an understanding of what kind of programs career and technical landscape has. Because when I think of it, or when I was younger in high school, it was very traditional, focused on automotive and building and things that were more the trades. And now it's really merged and evolved into more 21st century jobs like cybersecurity, ad design and media. So and we still have our other more traditional programs as well. So let me pop those up. So we have about 420 students right now in our career and technical program. So that's kind of small relative to the other career and technical schools around the state. But we have a really high quality program. We've won, we have a lot of, we have great accreditations with NEASC, and our students also get certifications in every program. That's part of being an approved, a Rhode Island Department of Ed approved career and technical school is you have to have a minimum, your students have to be in the program at least 3 years. And you have to have college credits or accreditation. Like in automotive, it's AES, and in advertising design, they have NOCTI, and then in computers, it's their industry certification, so that our students graduate, or when they go into an internship, they have the skills that are necessary to be successful. So I just kind of pop this up. If you can, I don't know if it's too small to see, but I'm just gonna name the programs. We have ad design and new media, automotive, culinary arts. We also have hospitality and tourism, which is new. We have a leadership academy, which is JROTC. We have a new visual arts program. Just move this. We have the Information Technology Academy, which is computers, IT, and we also have a cybersecurity component. So students can earn a associate degree from CCRI while they're in that program. We have construction, cosmetology, and then we have a partnership with Electric Boat, and that's maritime, electrical, and pipe fitting. So I just wanted to give that. I'm also going to share all my slides with Sarah, and there's links on here to videos. If you click on these little on the blue links here, there's little videos for each program featuring our students. So if anybody wants to have access to those, they can. Let me go back to this slide. Sorry, I'm trying to move everyone around so I can see my slides. So I think that's, so like Mary said, and Joanne, real world learning, hands-on, being in the real world is a huge, so internships are a huge part of career and technical education. We have things here on our campus like restaurants and salons. We have an automotive service that where the public can actually come in and come to the restaurant, they can get their car service. So we have those businesses on campus, which really helps our students prepare to go into an internship. Just to, as an FYI, so work-based learning is a big word in education. Work-based learning is an internship is that type of, it's classified as a work-based learning. And the Rhode Island Department of Ed recently enacted regulations where every student that graduates from a career and technical program has to have at least 80 hours of work-based learning. So what that kind of means is it's good for employers because more students are going to be out there. More students are going to get the real world learning, and that's going to develop a stronger worker pipeline. And, you know, it's also an opportunity for employers to work more with our students. And, you know, internship can mean different things, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. There's a lot of different types of internships, but 80 hours could be some sort of project that they partner with, say, Newport shipyard, and they do an 80-hour project over a year. It could be an internship where they work all summer in a paid internship at a restaurant. So there's a lot of different types of internships, but I just look at this as an opportunity for employers to partner more with schools like the Met and us and colleges and universities. So I just wanted to make note of that. I kind of showed the programs already, so we did that. But I just want to say this is how I approach internships, is that there's no magic formula, and I'm sure other panelists on here would say the same thing. There are things that I look for from an employer, and there's things I look for in students. I don't send out students that I don't feel confident in, that I would not hire myself, and that's a really important expectation that I put on myself. I work hard to coach the students along with the teachers and to get them the experience while they're here in school so that they can be successful. But that's something we take really seriously. I don't send students out to employers if they don't have a good foundation. So that's really important. And it's very individual. It has to be flexible for the student and the employer. It's a matchmaking process. That's how I look at it. So I find an employer and I look for students to match, or vice versa. There's no, magic formula, because we're talking about people here. So that's just something that I wanted to mention. I mentioned the 80 hours is a new regulation. So that's good. It opens up a lot of different doors, I think, for employers to get on board with local education and developing a workforce. The types of internships. So we have the unpaid. Okay, so that would be something like, say, a project, say a business wanted to do X project, maybe make their recycling program better, or build awareness, build a website. That could be something that takes place during the day. It could take place after school. It could be in the summer, but those are more kind of junior internships I look at. It's kind of getting your foot in the door. Most of our internships are paid internships. So most of them take place in the summer, because that's when students have time to focus and kind of really focus, immerse themselves. And our students, a lot of them, they have to be working and they need the money. So, that's a really important factor. And also I've found that when you're in a paid internship, if you have a volunteer doing something or you have a paid position, you're typically going to get a lot more out of a paid position, because there's accountability, there's evaluation, there's just more you can, I feel that students, and even, this comes with adults too, there's just higher expectations, and the expectations need to be met, or you probably won't have the internship anymore. So I feel that for me, I've seen that is a really good model. There's other things like job shadows. You could also have a tour come in and do a field trip type of thing. We do a lot of that. We have co-ops, which is really exciting. So a co-op is, if you're not familiar, I went to Northeastern, so co-op was a big part of my education. And so that's when students go out and work during the school day, kind of like what the Met does. And we have students that go out and work 2 days a week, they can do 5 days a week. It all depends on their schedule. And as a public school, you know, flexibility and scheduling is something that we're trying to focus on to make these experiences easier for our students, because it's very structured and rigid. And so something great about the Met is they have the flexibility. And so we're really working hard to make school more flexible for our students. And during COVID, it actually was a lot more flexible because students were not having to be in school in this building every day. So we learned some different ways to be flexible with our students. So that was a silver lining that came out of COVID. But a lot of the co-ops actually do, they end up hiring the students. And then with the paid summer internships, same thing. If it works out and everyone's happy and the employer still needs to intern, they a lot of the times will hire them on during the school year, and they'll go back year and year after. So benefits and expectations, I think Mary and the students spoke a lot about the benefits to students, which is great. It's, you know, you're helping develop, you're being involved in your community, you're giving back, helping to develop a worker pipeline, which we all know is very important right now. There's a lot of people aging out of the workforce, and we really need to ramp up our younger folks and get them ready. And so that's where internships are so important, because, you know, you're in the classroom, even in in our restaurant here, you know, it's a training setting, and it is real world. But when you're out, you know, at a place, an employer that's, you know, they're there to make money and be profitable, you know, there's no training net there. It's, you know, of course you're there to learn and be mentored as well, but, you know, it's just, you're not in a simulated environment anymore. It's out in the actual real world. So it's really important. But so I'd say some of the expectations for an employer would be to have a safe, to first of all, have some kind of need for some project or help. They need to have some kind of mentoring. The student needs to be linked with a mentor so that they can learn and get feedback and be evaluated. And a safety, you know, our students need to be safe and in a setting that's safe and they feel safe and supported. I'm always there as a liaison. So I work with the employer and the student to troubleshoot. I go on site visits. I just work with both sides to make sure things are going smooth. And if they're not, then I, you know, help out the situation. So I spoke about the matching process. So that is really like a very individual process. So it's not like, I don't like send out bulk emails. I don't really do things like that. I have relationships with a lot of local employers, and I kind of just will meet with a student and I have a bank of employers, and I just kind of make that connection, get the ball rolling, and then they go and interview. They have to have their resume, all that stuff. So they have to earn that job. I don't magically set that up for them. That's something that's really important, because me being at Northeastern, we did co-ops, and that was a big part of the co-op was getting the job. And that's such a big opportunity to learn there. You know, we all know when you interview, there's nothing like actually going on the interview and seeing how you perform. So, you know, even if the student doesn't get it, it's a really valuable experience. A few stories just to touch on some recent, or I don't know how I am for time. I just have another minute or two, but so a couple stories. So Midtown Oyster Bar. So we have a culinary arts program. Midtown has been a great partner to us, and they actually have a scholarship set up for our culinary students, and they sponsor a lot of our events. So that's another way you can get involved. At one of our events, they were a sponsor and had their oyster bar there, and we paired up one of our culinary students that was helping out. He learned how to shuck oysters, and then he worked at Midtown Oyster Bar doing that for the summer, and just really got to see a specific area of culinary arts. And also just be in a busy restaurant, and he had a mentor, and, you know, he stayed on in a paid internship for over a year. Another one is Langway Toyota. So we have an automotive program. We had a student last year who got involved in a co-op. So during the daytime, he would go out to Langway. And after his core classes in the morning, he'd go to Langway Toyota. He would work there with them, and then he was hired on. So now he has a job. He started working before he even graduated in a paid position with all the benefits, retirement, and he is so thrilled. And the company is really thrilled. They want more. They want more of our students. So that's just another one. The year before, Kirby Perkins, we had the same thing. We had a student co-oping during the day. He was hired on as part of their team. So those are really exciting, and we're trying to do a lot more of that because it's a win-win. A lot of our students do go on to college and post-secondary, but for those that want to go right to the workforce, co-op can be a really great model for an employer and for the student. Let's see. Then, okay, so recently we had, sometimes I reach out to employers, sometimes they come to us. So the NAACP has a Newport chapter. You may have never heard of it because it's it's kind of not very active. So they contacted me to see if they could come into the 21st century. And so we have a student from our IT program, and then we have a student from our advertising design and new media. They're going to build a website. They're going to start social media. They're going to get events going and just really breathe new life into the NAACP. It is an older group. And so they're just, it's super excited about this opportunity because it's so timely as well, with everything going on with equity in this country. And so that partnership is going to have multiple, hopefully the students actually get involved in the NAACP for the longer term, and it could breathe new life into that organization. So we also have internships with the Preservation Society. It could be something like Tom's Lawn and Garden, where we have automotive students going out and helping repair mowers and things like that. Right Solutions is a company that's, it's a defense cybersecurity company. We have our students there interning. So it really runs the full gamut. And like I said, there's a lot of different types of work-based learning and internships. There's no set criteria that you have to have as an employer or you have to have as a student. I work with each one to make it work for everybody. And I'll close with just saying it's very important for me to make it beneficial on both sides. I know as an employer, you have certain needs and you need somebody that's going to show up and be part of a team and have the foundational skills of communication and initiative and things like that. And then from the student standpoint, it's really important that they're going to get something out of it too. Yes, they may get paid, but I also want them to learn and grow their experience. So that's kind of my my overview of our internships. And these are just some of our partners here. And then if you want more information, I'm going to share the slide deck. Like I said, you can visit us online. You can see our social media. If you click on the link, this link right here, it links to that program list that I was showing you, which has the videos. And you can contact me if you're interested at all. Contact me. We can set up a Zoom or whatever suits you and move forward from there. So thank you. And I'll hand it back to Sarah now.
Thank you so much, Kerry. I appreciate all of that wonderful information. And we will move on next with Tracy Defoe from Skills for Rhode Island. Let me, and Tracy, will I be giving you the permission?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me just find you here in there we go. Just 1 second. All right. Wonderful. All right, thank you.
Okay, one moment. Ready now. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
And okay. Alrighty, so thank you, Sarah. As Sarah stated, my name is Tracy Defoe. I am the Director of Education Programs here at Skills for Rhode Island's Future. I am joined this morning by my colleagues, Alyssa Alvarado, Vice President of Education and Workforce Innovation. Also by Jenny Pichardo, Program Director of Client and Community Engagement, Dariella Delgado, Director of Client Services, and Patrick Sansoring, Client Services Manager. I am going to, over the course of the next 10 minutes, to provide a high-level overview of Skills RI, Prepare RI, the Prepare RI internship program, and our newly launched Work-Based Learning Navigator.
Tracy,
Yep.
the screen that we are seeing, it's where it shows us the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
You may
It's
need
not
to
sharing, or am I correct?
you may need to switch to the
I
to
apologize.
your other screen.
Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And let's do this. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to try to share again. And I will go to, and then, does that work? Can you see that screen? Can you see it fully? For some reason, it's not showing, it's not displaying fully.
We can see it, just not the, we see all your options and the next
In my
slide,
notes.
but if
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working today. My apologies.
You can click on the bottom icon where there's a screen. Yeah, where your cursor. Yeah, I think that would work.
Let's see. Yeah, my screen.
Or not.
Yeah, I've had some trouble. So why don't we try one more and I will.
when you do screen sharing, does it show you multiple screens? And is there one where you only see the slide?
Let's try this one.
That works.
Awesome. Finally, thank you. Okay. All right, does that work where you can see the full screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, everyone. I apologize. So as I was stating, over the course of the next 10 minutes, I'm going to take you through a high-level overview of Skills RI, Prepare RI, our 2021 Prepare RI internship program, and our work-based learning Navigator. Very excited to share information about the Navigator. So for those of you who may not be aware, Skills for Rhode Island's Future, we're a nonprofit organization helping to connect unemployed and underemployed Rhode Island job seekers to secure gainful employment at businesses across the state. Our mission, our vision is very clear. We work to prepare Rhode Islanders with the skills and competencies needed to meet the demands of industry and our employer partners. And our vision is to transform lives through meaningful employment and economic mobility. Our core values includes collaboration, bringing together government, public, and private sector. We approach our work with excellence, integrity, keeping a pulse on innovation, and ensuring that all of our stakeholders are treated with the utmost respect. Prepare RI, for the purposes of today, we have the Prepare RI high school program. We also have the Prepare RI college program that is still very much in a pilot stage. That particular program, it is targeted towards first generation college students, but for the purposes of today and our time limits, I'll focus specifically on our high school program. So the Prepare Rhode Island, it is a statewide initiative to prepare Rhode Island youth with the skills that they need for jobs that pay. And if you aren't aware, this was the brainchild of our former governor, Gina Raimondo, who is now our U.S. Commerce Secretary. And as an organization, Skills RI, we work under the Prepare RI initiative, and we seek to close the skills and opportunity gap by offering summer internships, year-round work-based learning opportunities, as well as career enhancement services to students. So what is our role? What is our role here at Skills RI around Prepare RI? Early spring 2017, we received the RFP to manage and coordinate all aspects of the Prepare RI internship program. With that, we make all decisions on students that will be accepted into the program. We recruit employers to present problem statements for the students to work on. We deliver work readiness boot camps, ensuring that students will have a successful internship experience. Students who participate in our program, we are the employer of record. So we're responsible for all employment forms, liability insurance, we process payroll, and conduct virtual site visits as well. What are the benefits? What are the benefits to the students for participating in this program? Well, there's several benefits. Students have an opportunity to explore various career pathways, learn to use new tools and technologies. They gain real world skills to succeed in the workforce. It boosts their resumes with some meaningful work experience prior to graduation. And last but not least, it builds impactful connections with professionals and allows them to build their professional network prior to their job search. This is a super important piece that we definitely accentuate in our program. So we often talk about soft skills. We often talk about hard skills. We have framed this in the sense of some key essential employability skills for our students to develop. These employability skills include academic skills, students having the knowledge and the skill for the positions that they're applying for. Critical thinking, we hear directly from employers on what they are looking for in their new hires. Also with that, they're looking for job seekers and candidates with personal qualities that include professionalism, dependability, time management skills, communications, technology use. Many of our students, most if not all, have access to Google Chromebooks. We understand why. However, that doesn't necessarily translate over to the real world. So we're finding over the course of our internship program offerings that many of our students do not have proficiencies in Microsoft Suite, which puts them at somewhat of a disadvantage, right, post-graduation. In terms of digital literacy, if they're looking for employment opportunities. So why now, right? Why is work-based learning so super important? In the environment of the pandemic and COVID-19, the workforce is continuing to change. Many folks have lost their jobs. They're struggling to pivot into new industries. Two, the skills gap, it continues to widen. 27% of small companies and 29% of large companies believe that they do not have the digital talent that they require. And lastly, fewer students are going to college. So, which means that there's less opportunities for internships, career exploration, work-based learning, and we're seeing about 2.3 million fewer students enrolled in colleges last fall than we saw in 2011. So that's a significant decrease. So the summer of 2021 plan. As with many programs last summer, we had to pivot from a place-based internship model to a virtual model, and we were pretty successful in doing so, onboarding almost 500 students to participate in the model in our summer COVID-19 summer internship program. We will follow a similar model this year. We will provide a virtual work-based learning opportunity for students. Once again, it will be a paid summer internship program, providing them the opportunity to continue to work with employers, explore career avenues, and get a glimpse of what it means to successfully navigate the current work environment. So how do we go about this? Again, similar to last summer, we are dubbing this year the Innovation Challenge. For those of you who may not be aware, last summer we had a theme, a COVID-19 Innovation Challenge, in which we focused a lot on the pandemic and having our employer partners develop problem statements for our students to work on that were directly related to COVID-19. Given that we're in 2021 and many of us are very much over COVID-19, we will dub this year the Innovation Challenge, and once again engaging employers to provide real-world problem statements for our students to work on during the summer internship. So how do we go about this? Students are broken down into student-led corporations. In these corporations, there is what we call a C-suite. Students will apply for C-suite positions. They're set up very similar to our work environments, in which you have your administration, your C-level administration, you have your finance department, you have your research department, you have your IT department. So all of this is aligned with the student's interest. So within these corporations, they will work over the course of the summer internship to provide and develop solutions to problem statements that were submitted by local employers. So these are real world problem statements that they will work and try to ideate and develop solutions for the employers. They will test solutions. The solutions that they will come up with, they will test them. Some solutions they will move forward. Some solutions they will figure out that, you know what, we need to probably abandon this solution and move on to another resolution to the problem. And number 4, they'll pitch their ideas. This is while the students are having a great time during the summer developing and creating solutions, we gamified the program to ensure that students were working, but also making sure that they were having fun doing what they're signed up to do with the internship program. So they will, in a pitch competition, a Shark Tank style pitch competition, they will compete against other corporations. They will present their solutions to industry judges, and then the winning teams will have bragging rights on the solutions that they've created. We've also seen where employers have had interest in taking on some of these solutions and advancing them in their own companies. So I mentioned employers developing problem statements. It is critical for the success of the program that we have students fully supported as they work on these industry-based problems, correct? So we are currently in the recruitment stage. We're working with employers across all industry sectors to develop problem statements based on real work challenges that they're experiencing and that they need to find solutions for. Number 1 for an employer who is potentially interested in submitting a problem statement is to, 1, identify an industry problem that needs to be solved. 2, they need to identify industry experts needed to help solve the problem. And 3, they need to designate at least 1 employee to serve as a business coach and a mentor. Industry experts, business coaches, mentors provide support to students and help guide them through the solution development on a daily basis throughout the internship. Just briefly, I'll give you a sample of one of our problem statements. And again, we had 20 and we will have 20 again this year. Problem statements that were submitted by employers. And we're talking about employers working across all industry sectors, from healthcare to working with adults and children with developmental disability, IT, military, you name it. We had opportunities from a diverse pool of employers for students to work on. Not sure if many of you are familiar. Purvis System is a small business technology solution that develops and implements and maintains mission critical solutions for federal and local governments. In this case, namely, it is the US Navy. In a nutshell, their problem statement was surrounding the creation of a wearable device for military members to identify pre-symptomatic COVID-19 cases. How cool is it for our students to work on a problem statement such as this? Well, they definitely dug their heels in. They were also supported by industry experts in the field, whether it was, someone from the military coming in and speaking to them about what this device, how this device could help. Purvis systems being totally available to them and their industry experts and mentors, helping to guide them in their solution development. Business coaches, mentors, you've heard me mention that, as well as guest speakers. We will onboard, last year we had about 462 students. This year we will onboard a little over 300 students to participate in the summer internship program. Once again, to support the students through the solution development, we are recruiting business coaches. Business coaches spend about 2 to 3 hours a week. They supervise the student corporations. They basically help to promote agile project management for the students, helping them to run their corporations and their businesses. 40 mentors we're looking for, again, same amount of time. Mentors serve as a project expert. They provide support to students learning on their career interests. They also assist students in developing essential workplace skills and assist them with solutions for their problem statements. And lastly, guest speakers. Guest speakers, we're recruiting about 30 guest speakers. And these are basically industry experts for panel discussions. They expose students to different career options. And they challenge students to really think critically about their approach to developing a solution, and to think critically about their interests as they move forward in the internship and beyond. We set up the Innovation Challenge. Once again, students are set up in corporations. They will vote on, as a corporation, they will vote on the problem statement that they'd like to work on. They have a daily schedule, much like the daily schedule that you and I have. They will start their days with a morning meeting, establish daily priorities. They'll work as a team in career verticals. Their career verticals, again, could be C-suite members working in their vertical, finance folks, the research team, the IT and business technology team, working together in their on the projects, but in their assigned verticals. They will also have time to research, ideate, test theories, beta test theories, work with their coaches and mentors. And of course, we'll provide them with a lunch break, and then they'll go back. They'll go back to their corporations, and they'll work with industry experts. They'll receive guidance on theories and continue to pressure test. And basically, you'll get the gist. Their day is literally a full day. So while they are integrally involved in their daily work, we also break things up by gamifying, once again, presenting challenges for them to earn extra credit, extra points for their corporations as they compete to become one of the winning teams. Now, all of this is culminated. We start off with the boot camp of the first week of the internship program. The boot camp is really setting the students up for success. It's setting them up for, what does it mean to develop a corporation? What does it mean to develop your business plan? What does it mean to effectively communicate with your team? What does it mean to help brand your team? So during that first week of boot camp, we're really setting them up for success by providing them with the information, the knowledge, and the tools they'll need to compete during the internship program. Now, the very last week of the internship program, that's the competition week. We will have the students will compete for, once again, bragging rights this year, and they'll compete in front of local experts that will serve as judges, and they will pitch their idea, they will pitch their solution in the hopes of becoming a winning team. I'd like to take the next minute or so to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the year-round work-based learning work that we're doing. Year-round work-based learning work for us, it was culminated out of, over the years, we're actually into our 4th year of the Prepare Right internship program. With great success, we've been able to we've been able to increase, for the most part, the number of students that we've taken in. We have the experience of students who have graduated high school, gone on to college, some who have gone on to their careers, but we've also been able to identify opportunities for improvement. One of the things that we have noticed is, in order to kind of close that learning gap, we would like to, we have developed some initiatives to provide some year-round work-based learning opportunities for students, whether that means hopefully the COVID-19 goes away for good, going into the schools and providing some career enhancement services. We're also very excited that we have a tool that we've developed along with Fidelity called the Work-Based Learning Navigator. So the Prepare RI Work-Based Learning Navigator essentially is a platform for educators as well as employers to connect. The idea here is to connect the two worlds. We've been hearing for quite some time that educators would love to connect with employers directly, to come in, to serve on panels, to come into their classrooms, to become speakers on a particular industry, whether it's, for example, STEM, whether it's healthcare, to come and speak to their classes about careers in those various fields. So the Navigator, again, is a platform where educators can go on and request a particular resource from an employer. On the opposite side of the platform, we have employers that are uploading resources and offering their times to connect with our schools. Once again, educators can go in, preview, select a resource, request that resource, whether it's a panelists coming out to speak with students, workplace tours, work-based internships. We're continuing to build this platform. It was launched. We're still very much in the pilot stages of this in early 2021, where we're continuing to onboard employers and resources before we open up the full gates to schools across the state. But we feel like the Prepare RI Work-Based Learning Navigator is ultimately going to be a game changer for introducing K-12 students to work-based learning exploration and work-based learning experiences across the state. So employer resources, we have a few tiers to that. Tier 1, career panels, guest speakers. Tier 2 could include a 1 to 2 day engagement, more than 3 hours or more, job shadowing, career fairs. Tier 3, employers to serve as advisors to CTE programs, mentorships, and the likes. Employer and industry specific projects are also offered under the Tier 3. So there's a number of ways for employers to become engaged and to continue on a year-round basis to help support our students and continue to build talent pipelines across the state. The Prepare RI Work-Based Learning Navigator can be found at www.riwblnavigator.com, or you can feel free to reach out to myself or one of our staff members here. We're happy to connect you with the Navigator, with this platform. Although we are still beta testing the platform right now and it's not fully open to educators and community members to access. Right? We're continuing to build employers, but if you have employers here who would like to be a resource to students, please feel free to visit this website or either reach out to myself or my colleague, Jenny Pichardo. Last but not least, I'd like to thank our funders and our partners, the Rhode Island Governors Workforce Board, American Student Association, Bank of America, and Fidelity. Our program partners, Advancing Workplace Excellence, Leadership RI, Rhode Island Employers, and the Rhode Island Public Schools and Partnership RI for our continued partnership in building out work-based learning, rigorous work-based learning opportunities for students. Lastly, if you'd like to engage with us, please, and you'd like to engage with us, whether it is on the direct hire side of our work, internships, train to hire initiatives. We continue to work with employers to help them meet unmet hiring needs. And we continue to work with employers across the state. If their unmet hiring needs includes a deficit in talent around a particular skill set, again, bringing government, public, and private industries together to train employees or candidates to fill jobs that you have available. And lastly, you can reach us at 401-680-5960. Client services team, I mentioned Dariella Delgado, Patrick Sansorain, they're here. They are our client services team, and they're fully open to answer any questions that you may have and to direct you to the right programming. And that's all I got, folks.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing such great information about your program. All right, Brian, would you like me to share the screen with you for the last bit of the day? You're muted.
Please, and I'll try to be as brief as possible. I know we're over time and there's a lot of overlap with what other folks are doing and what we do. So I'll try to skip over the repetition. Let's just see if I can get it. So can everybody see the slideshow? Okay. So my notes here. Basically, the Edcap Youth Center, we're funded by the Governor's Workforce Board and a number of other local, state, and federal sources. And we serve 14 to 24-year-olds throughout the whole East Bay region of Rhode Island. Depending on a number of different things, there are additional or more comprehensive services available to folks to oversimplify it. The lower the income, the more barriers a youth faces, the more comprehensive services we can provide. Although those comprehensive services at some level are available to everyone. So the mission is wordy: to help youth between the ages of 14 and 24 acquire the educational and occupational skills, training, and support needed to achieve academic and employment success, successfully transition to careers and productive adulthood. So basically, we're talking about future success. Basically, the goal is if we have an in-school kid, it's to keep that kid in school. If we have an out-of-school youth, it's to get that youth back into school, whether that be traditional high school or GED. And for both of those populations, to get them involved in as much or as many career kind of related experiences as possible, from anything from guest speakers to job shadows to internships. Kerry talked about the different kinds of internships, as well as just traditional paid employment placements as well. And I'll get into more of that because I know that's the specifics of this meeting here. But I'll ask Steve to talk through this next slide here.
Thank you, Brian. I cover a lot of the nuts and bolts of the program, the actual outreach, recruitment, that sort of thing, enrollment. Youth centers are designed to be a one-stop center for youth in our region regarding gaining access to services and resources, opportunities. The youth centers recruit, enroll, and assess the youth, case managers, and develop an ISS strategy for each youth. I like to call it a game plan because I try to talk to the youth kind of like on their level. The ISS drives the services each youth receives. Typically, we focus on education and jobs. Obviously, if the youth is out of high school, without a high school diploma, we focus on GED. If the youth is out of high school with a diploma or GED, we focus on the jobs. Although youth are case managed by the youth center staff, many of the services they receive are in the community. Case managers tasked with finding services and resources for youth. And as you know, Newport has a wealth of human service opportunities for these young adults. A lot of the opportunities that we can't provide for these youth, but we certainly refer them out to the different sources. Once again, case managers are tasked with finding these services and resources for the youth, making a referral to services, and then ensuring youth are supported throughout the length of their participation in the youth center. We typically work with these youth for probably about a year, and depending on the circumstances, there's a year follow-up as well. The vast majority of the ISS's individual service strategies call for education and employment services. Once again, the education is predominantly for GED classes, tutoring, things of that nature. The paid employment piece is either paid internships or some sort of work experience. A lot of times we put them on our payroll and they work at a nonprofit for a certain number of hours during the course of the school year or during the summer. Brian?
Thank you. So the service available through the youth center, Kerry talked about it as well, in terms of not every, even if youth do similar kind of paths, their experience is different just because it's so individualized. It might be that they needed different support services. They might need some academic support that helps link whatever they're doing outside of school back to their academic learning. But these are the services that are available to every youth in the youth center. You know, academic services like tutoring, alternative secondary school, dropout recovery. Big one that we're talking about today is paid and unpaid work experience, occupational skills training. We have a training starting Monday with the Hospitality Association as an example. We did a couple of cohorts with them a few years ago, and Kerry's group at NACTech, where they did a few weeks of training, soft skills as well as occupational skills at the actual CTC at night, out of school youth, and then went into jobs from there. 22 youth went through that process. All 22 got jobs. Education offered concurrently with workforce prep. That's a big one for us. So if we have a youth who's in GED or in high school, we're really trying to get them to do their career development activities at the same, in conjunction with their learning, trying to bridge those two things. We have leadership development opportunities, support services, obviously a big one. That might be as simple as bus passes, could be, some required kind of uniform for a job or an internship or some type of tools. And, for the culinary ones, we've gotten youth thermometers and the jackets they wear, the chefs wear, all that type of stuff. And mentoring, of course. Steve talked about follow-up services. Youth, no matter how long they're with us, get a year of follow-up services as well. And then there's the other services there that you can read are pretty straightforward. So overarching goals, like I said, future success. Everyone deserves a world-class education that prepares them for future success. And over the last, 15 years, I guess, it's really been we've really moved to bridge kind of the workforce development world with the academic world, where I think previously they were kind of doing their own thing in a lot of ways. And youth need to acquire knowledge, skills, and experiences in academic, work readiness, and personal social domains to successfully navigate the workplace and function as contributing citizens. And our goal is always just to increase the number of youth participating in career development activities as defined in their ISS. So whatever that means to them and their future goals, we want to increase those activities. So all youth go through work readiness and financial literacy. As Tracy had talked about, Edcap is the employer of record in our process as well. So we take on a lot of the liabilities and things like that. And we do a number of project-based, work-based activities as well. For example, I'm actually late, but the CTC group in East Providence is meeting with the Chamber of Commerce in East Providence this morning virtually. They're developing a marketing strategy for the chamber. It's a very small chamber, and some of their smaller partners as well. So we're able to pay those youth for their work on that time, out of school time as well. Work experience, so big one for us is summer youth employment, traditional, 5-week kind of 100-hour, if you will, 120-hour experience for summer youth employment. We try to keep youth in the program beyond that. So we're usually successful with that. Like Steve said, youth tend to participate with us for at least a year. And then subsidized employment is another kind of blanket term. It could be traditional paid work experience, could be subsidized employment where we say to an employer, like we did with culinary, we'll pay these youth salary for the first 3 weeks, and then you have to make a decision on whether you want to keep them on the payroll, put them on your payroll, and keep them as employees or not. And industry training work experience as well, where we subsidize the training, the employment related to that. So since 2008, we've served over 6,000 youth. In the last program, pre-pandemic program year, easy for me to say, we paid out about $250,000 in youth wages, and that includes stipends, incentive stipends. So say that if they had perfect attendance for a month, they got a $25 stipend, things like that. But that's all wages and stipends related to work and career exploration. Do just under 300 placements a year. We've placed youth in every sector, from project-based. I mean, we placed youth at Raytheon all the way down to kind of municipal placements and small nonprofits. We are the only CAP program in the state that has a Sarah Burke, somebody housed at a Chamber of Commerce, and we did that, that for our own reasons, to be able to get better outreach to employers. But we also did that for exactly what's happening this morning. A way for us, our world, the workforce development, academic, kind of nonprofit world, to be better coordinate our outreach to chamber membership and offer our services to them. So today's a good example of why we did that. And we've implemented industry-specific trainings in hospitality, culinary, CNA, information technology, and others as well. And location. So I'm at the Weaver House right now in East Providence. Steve is in normal days out of the Newport Boys and Girls Club. Sarah's obviously at the Chamber, and then we have satellite presence at basically every high school in our region. So, and what makes the youth center kind of model unique? We cover the entire East Bay region. We serve in-school and out-of-school clients. So we're serving youth who are on track, performing academically well, all the way down to our what we call our WIOA population, which are extreme low-income youth with multiple barriers to success. So we really do run the gamut as far as the levels of youth that we serve. We can replicate employer-specific trainings at the youth center. If there's some sort of initial training that an employer would like folks to come in with, we can replicate that training at the youth center. We have ongoing support services. So anytime an issue pops up while a youth is doing an internship and or working with an employer, we do have resources to take care of those issues and knock those barriers down. And like I said before, we have the ability to use our subsidized employment as a test period for potential employees. So when we say paid internship, if we send a youth to again, like say a Raytheon, we have the ability to pay their salary, like I talked about the hospitality, for a set amount of time, and then the employer make a decision of whether or not they want to keep that person on and put them on their own payroll for more traditional employment. There's some contact information for myself and for Steve. If anybody has any questions or any interest in building a relationship, please reach out to us. We're absolutely more than willing to have that discussion.
Thank you, Steve and Brian, so much. And I know we have gone over time, but I think all the information that's been shared here was so valuable, and it's being recorded. So I see this as a really nice resource, not just for the folks who could join us today, but as a sort of a tool that we can share more widely with our constituents. So once we get that sort of wrapped up, I'll share it with everybody through the emails that you used to register for this event. Are there any questions for any of our panelists? And I also want to apologize about that chat function. I'm not entirely sure why it's not working, and I didn't troubleshoot in time. So if anyone has any questions, this would be an opportunity to do so before we say goodbye to everybody. And that's okay. We'll make sure everyone's contact information is circulated widely, along with the decks that people presented here today. And again, I can't thank all of you enough, not just for your time as panelists, but also for your time as an attendee. I hope that you have gained some information that maybe you didn't know before you logged in at 9 a.m. And again, my contact information is on the Newport Greater Chamber site with email and phone number. But I do hope that we were able to build some relationships or strengthen others as we move forward. So if there really are no questions, I'll let you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you everyone for
All right.
sharing.
Take care, everybody.